In these podcasts, we learn how to use strategy, soft power to influence your brand and also grow your business, both locally and globally. My name is Mary, and I am your host. Today, we are going to talk about something very foundational. We are going to talk about how your global brand presence can be built. The person who is responsible for building your global presence is you as an entrepreneur. You always have to remember that. It is not anybody's responsibility. If you're using a marketing firm, it is not their responsibility to build your global presence. You have to take your time to understand your business so that even you can educate other people to understand your business. When it comes to business, you are not just competing on skill and expertise. You are also competing on perception. How do your clients perceive you? How do people who want to work with you perceive you? Sometimes I have never met you, but I've heard of you. And there are some business owners who I have chosen not to work with because of that. Because just remember, as much as you might go ahead and treat one client really bad, the bad experience they will talk about to their friends. And the world is very small. People will share the experience of working with you or how you communicated with them or whatever way they experienced you. If they didn't like it, they will tell their peers. And guess what? That is money just running out of your business. Perception is shaped by your brand presence. So let's just say, let's talk about McDonald's. McDonald's is a very big brand that is recognized worldwide. When you go to Asia, there's a McDonald's. When you go to the Middle East, there's a McDonald's. In America, this is where the brand started and it exists there very predominantly. And when you talk about McDonald's, even in countries where it does not exist, like let's say, for example, in this case, Kenya, they know that you're referring to a fast food chain company that was born and bred in the US. People already know what you're talking about before you even go further than that. So this is the same with the organizations like KFC or Wendy's. These are all organizations that are fast food chains. So anytime you talk about them, people know these are fast food chains based in America. Your brand presence is not just your logo or your tagline or just the things that we look at, your colors, fonts. No, it's not that. But that it is the feeling that people associate with working with you. That's your brand presence. Or even the feeling that people associate with you and how they have experienced your services or your product. If you're a photographer and people like the kind of quality of work you provide them, the way you're able to edit them, but still remain, they still look the same in the photo and the person that you took the picture of, the customer service that you offered, the kind of packaging that you had when you were delivering the final product, or anything else that's transpired during the whole experience. This is what your brand presence is. That is what people are experiencing. That is what people are yearning to know more about you. And people will start talking about you. This is a good photographer, you should work with them. That's why you've heard there are people who say that there are other photographers who were rude or others who were really easy to work with. You can be visible and forgettable, but you can also be present and unforgettable. What I mean by this is that just because you're visible, you're everywhere on the internet paying for ads, or you're paying for billboards, and immediately I look at the billboard or the ad, there's nothing that is catchy about it, then you're forgettable. If you're present, you don't even need that billboard or that ad. The fact that you are able to exist subtly or even very loudly, but usually subtly, and people can remember you. Yeah, that is why even in meetings, when people are holding meetings, sometimes you can walk out of the meeting and you just remember one person. You did not forget them because they're the ones who made an impact on you. They're the ones who were present and they were unforgettable. That is what you want for your brand. That is what you want people to say about you anytime that they experience you. That is what you want to emulate out there. So, a brand we can talk about is Oprah. Oprah is an individual and she is a brand herself. She is worldwide and she is unforgettable. She is not on any billboards. She is not doing ads. She's not doing anything. But anytime you talk about Oprah, people know who she is. We can move into products. Talk of Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder, that's a brand that is heavy in the beauty community and it's highly appreciated worldwide because of the way they just give a range of skin tones. So anywhere in the world, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Asia, whether you are in North America, South America, it don't matter. Estee Lauder can service you. So Estee Lauder is very present in all the continents and in everything that they do, especially in the beauty industry. So I can say the way I have experienced the brand presence is some people that I have met across negotiation tables who say that I have heard of you because you used to work with my peer, or I have experienced you because there was a time you were negotiating for a client and we were not on the same side. I will tell you this, most of the clients that I work with right now, at one point, I used to be on the other side of the table. So they will call me because they saw how I handled my client and they were able to experience me on the table. And they knew that I was the right person for me to go ahead and do their business or to help them achieve their goals at a future date. Granted, there's no conflict of interest because I don't go against my other clients. No, they have to be doing it with another client, or the scope of work would include something else. But either way, this is what referrals are all about, your brand presence. So right now, I would say in order for me to teach this better or for us to discuss regarding brand presence better, I will introduce you to a framework that you will keep in mind anytime that you're dealing with your brand presence. Think of this framework as a way that is guiding you. It's a map. It is the things that you need to remember whenever you're dealing with your global brand presence. Positioning. That's the first part of the framework. This is how you define your value, your expertise, and niche. Remember, defining value is usually you're talking about outcomes and benefits that people get, clients who work with you. That is how you're defining your value. The niche, who are you catering for? Because, we're never for everybody. You don't even want to service everybody because can you really service everybody? Are you built that way? So even if you have a large following online, you have to remember that, let's say if you have 20,000 followers and you're looking for clients and you want all these clients. In all true honesty, would you rather just be willy-nilly with the 20,000 or work with the 100 that you will be able to change their lives? Think about it this way. Do you even have the bandwidth to handle 100 clients? 100 clients, that's a huge number. That is a number where you might need some assistance, a team, and all that. But what I'm saying, as a service provider, you need to be very, very clear and also very true to yourself that I have the bandwidth of maybe 20 clients every year. And this is what I can handle to be able to live my best life and also go ahead and be the best thing that these people have met, and I'm able to solve their problems. That is how you define your niche. So who are you targeting? Who is your client? Who are you trying to to bring solutions to? If the solution is yours and it's something that has worked for you, there are people who have gone through the same thing and they would like your solution. it is your job as an entrepreneur to figure that out and talk to those people with your content, your expertise. Definitely, if you're a photographer and you can take pictures, what are you doing? Why are you lying? Why are you telling people incorrect information? Remember, you have to have the expertise for clients to be able to be returning clients and come back your way. The second part of the framework is presence. How do you show up and how consistent are you with the way you're showing up? Whether it is online, in meetings, panels, or any speaking engagements. Can people trust that you will give them the same message? Can people trust that you will talk about the same thing? Can people trust that you will always be as professional as you have been? This is what it is, because people will always rely on historical data. And data is something that will help you maintain the kind of global presence that you need. The third part of the framework is perception. This is how others experience you. Your tone, your elegance, and your reputation. If you're somebody who is rude or you like to yell, and that is how people have experienced you, that is the perception that people will always have of you, that you always yell. It could have happened once, maybe in a client meeting where the client did not expect it to go the way it was going. What I will say is this. Just remember, anytime that you're dealing with human beings, each and every second that they're experiencing you will define who you are to them, or to any referrals or any people that are trying to work with you. Let's just say you're in a meeting and things are going left, and maybe you're getting in your feelings. It is okay to take a break. It is okay to keep yourself in check. If you need to take a break, or you need to take a couple of breaths and also drink some water, calm down before you go back into the conversation, go ahead and do that. That is way more respectful to yourself and even to the client. And sometimes maybe that is not a deal that is meant for you. You can walk away, but always maintain the way people will perceive you. The fourth part of the framework is partnerships. Who you align with and how it expands your reach. So with partnerships, here I would strongly advocate for networking. The only way you can create partners is through networking. There's no any other way. You can network with your local peers. You can network with people who you're trying to break into their market. You can network with people who will help you move your agenda forward. But always know that while you're networking, you're not just connecting because you need something. You also need to offer value to them, to the person you're connecting with. The people that you connect with or who you network with, or the partnerships that you're creating, will bring life, more life into your business, because they will be able to talk about you and your business in rooms that you have not stepped in yet. This is what you want. This is the same exact thing that you really desire in order to grow your global brand. The fifth part of the framework is proof. People like case studies, people like proof of who you've worked with and what kind of outcome they got. That's why they will always go, people will tend to seek referrals before they just approach somebody through cold calling. People like to see examples of work you have done. Any track record that you have will either build trust or destroy it. If you have a good track record, yes, you're building trust with the future clients and even the current clients that you do have. If you have a bad track record, you will end up getting fired before even the period of performance is over. So you have to be very careful and very cognizant of the fact that anything that you do that enhances your track record is good for your business and also good for you. This is why I say perception is also a very big thing, because if people just start perceiving you in a different way or experiencing you in a different way, Even the proof that you have, which is your track record, will destroy the trust that you have with your clients, both current clients and the future clients. Having said that, there are a couple of mistakes that can weaken a global brand. The first one is ignoring cultural nuance. This is something that we tend to do even unconsciously. When you're going to do business, especially in a place where you do not call home, you need to go and do a revision about this culture. Know what they're about. Understand what or how they do business. Think about it this way. If you're doing business in Asia and you're from North America, yes, your transactional bam bam method of just stating benefits and not having that relation, that can work in America. But in other places of the world, you need to have that relationship before you can transact. Your tone that will work, like let's say in Singapore, might not work in Nairobi. You have to remember that you're dealing with people who have nuance. Humans are complicated beings. They will always be predictable most of the time, but based on how their foundations are. Let's just say this. I am Kenyan. I did live in the US for a while, and then I came back to Kenya. Yes, I do have in the back of my mind that anytime I'm transacting with somebody, there's the fact that I have to build a relationship. That's how we do it here in Kenya. Even when people are haggling, that is just a way of, it's cultural. But in America, that is not something that is really seen or practiced. Those are two different worlds. And the tone that I would use that is very affirmative and very aggressive in the Americas, that would not work here in Kenya per se. There will be firmness and boundaries, but it will be communicated in a different way. The other thing you have to remember that even if you're dealing with a different culture, the individual the human being themselves, they have their own culture. So it is good to also learn of them and know more about them before you go into that meeting. Who are you negotiating with, or who are you trying to impress? That is who you need to know more about. Because when you go there, you're trying to be relatable and build a relationship. And you cannot build a relationship if you have no data or you have nothing in common with the other person. The second mistake that people usually make is overcomplicating the message. Sometimes, based on the industry that you're in, you could be talking too much jargon. When you use too much jargon, there's no clarity. You could be speaking some facts, really important things that I need to hear. But as the client who does not understand that field that you're in, I will not see it as meaningful because you did not help me. You were just talking. It is very, very considerate of you if you can keep the jargon out and make sure that anytime you're trying to use jargon, or if that's the default that you can go back to, translate it into regular English, as I would call it. Help them understand the solution that you are providing. Otherwise, no business is happening. And your presence, your global presence right there is getting destroyed because, yeah, I went to this person and all they could tell me is these scientific words that I do not understand. So I didn't think they're the right person. Yet you could be just, that was the only mistake you did. So just speak regular English, as I will call it. The third mistake that most people do is being transactional rather than being relational. With anything, you have to remember, people buy from who they like, know, and trust. How do people get to like you if they don't know you? You come and just tell me, oh yes, I'm selling this service, and I will go ahead and create you a system that will be perfect for you, something that you have never seen. And yet, I don't know you. Where did you come from? How did you know that I even have this issue? So go ahead and be relational. Go ahead and build that relationship with your client. Make sure that they understand who you are, what kind of solutions you offer, and how you offer these solutions. Because sometimes, yes, you do have good solutions, but the way you do it does not align with my values. So, a way of me knowing you and how you do business is tell me how you're going to offer me the solution. The fourth mistake that people do when they're building their global presence is ignoring an international niche that exists out there, but they're not pursuing. It is okay to have a niche locally, but go ahead and be very intentional with building a niche outside your country. There are people who will listen to you. Yes, the solution you're providing is a solution to them wherever they are. So think about it that way. You are not limited by borders. You're not limited by the people who know of you or where you're living. You're limited to the niche, the people who you want to talk to, the people who you want for them to hear you. That is who you're supposed to be targeting. So you have an international niche out there. Go ahead, target them. These mistakes do not just cost you deals. They cost you your credibility. And credibility is the currency of influence. If your credibility is tarnished, that's it, and that's all. You need to rebrand, as what most big companies do. Otherwise, you need to just protect it with everything that you got. So we do have a couple of examples of people who were overlooked, let's say, in their home country, but they are highly elevated abroad. The person who comes to mind is Elsa Majimbo. She's a girl that I admire. She just started during the pandemic. She was my entertainment. I would say that she came once online and said that she is not appreciated in her home country, which is Kenya. But now she lives in the US and she migrated there. And I believe she's an entrepreneur. And she's highly elevated in the US. They have put her in talk shows. She has worked with big brands, people who she could not have dreamt of working with while she was still in Kenya. She has met people like Yara Shahidi. A lot of things that she has done are really magnified and elevated out there, whether it's in the Middle East or even in North America. She has done that and she's doing her thing. But she's not really appreciated here, and I have not seen any brands, Kenyan brands, working with her. And yet, she is a name that is a brand, well known, but more known outside of Kenya than within Kenya. The other example that we can give is McDonald's. When they first they built a branch in Europe, the culture in America, whenever you're doing fast food, you're always eating on the move. But that is an American culture. It's not a culture everywhere. So when they opened a branch in Europe, they were wondering why it was not being very successful as they had thought it would be. The reason was they had not provided seats where people could socialize while they're eating, because eating and sharing a meal is a social culture in different parts of the world. So they had to do a lot of research and studies, and this is what they came up with. And right now, I believe they're doing pretty well in different markets, because they have to localize as per what that market demands, as per the culture of that market. They cannot bring the American culture into the Italian market or into the French market or anywhere else. The one about eating on the move, that only happens in America. The other example we have is of a leader who's quiet but has become known very much so internationally. President Barack Obama. He is known everywhere. I remember even during the administration of President Joe Biden, he was asked to attend a meeting on behalf of the country because of how much influence he has. So you have to remember that he's a leader, and even if he does not have, or he was not operating at the title of president at that time, he still is able to give influence wherever he is. So, what are practical strategies that you can use today? Go ahead and audit your online presence. Does your profile communicate authority throughout the globe? Simplify your message. Can somebody from another culture understand what you're saying? Can somebody from a different industry understand what you're saying? Can somebody understand what you're selling? What are you trying to achieve? What are the solutions that you are giving people out here? What problem are you solving? Invest in relationships. Here, you will need to go outside of the norm. Yes, I am an introvert by nature, but when it comes to the professional setting, it's easier for me to converse and also understand, because I am really curious, especially when I see people who are pursuing something that is very different from me. I try and learn and also see how we can collaborate. Go ahead and talk to the person next to you. You could even relate on something different. You could start on the point of, I'm a mom, so motherhood. This is something that can go ahead and make you open up without borders. This is something that can help you collaborate or even talk about the struggles that you both share. Partnerships will always expand reach faster than self-promotion. You always have to remember that. Align with symbols of credibility, stages, media, collaborations. You cannot go and speak on a panel regarding a matter or with people that you do not have the same values. It's okay to say no. It's okay to stand your ground and go ahead and focus on what matters to you and the values that you bring also into your business. Because sometimes people are so thirsty for the check, they forget that you need to also maintain your brand. And anytime you are aligning with the wrong kind of people, your credibility is tarnished. You have to be very careful about that. You also need to cultivate consistency. Whether you're appearing online or in stages, and whether your stage is in New York, Tokyo, Dubai, anywhere, have the same message. Be consistent, be professional, maintain that level, and people will start expecting that from you, making it easier to know that if I bring this person in, they will not disappoint. They will be going ahead and telling me exactly what I need, or speaking to my audience as how I need them to speak to them. Your brand should always feel like a recognizable passport, okay? Kind of like the passports that can get you into 152 countries. You know who we're talking about, Singapore? Yes, that is what your brand needs to be. You have access, unlimited access. You don't need to access visas or anything else. That's where you're building your global brand to. You are trying to make sure that your credibility and the perception that people have of you is the same everywhere, to the point where it's even harder for somebody to tarnish your credibility because you have too much proof. Building a global brand presence is not about being everywhere. It's about being intentional about where you're going to show up. Make sure you're not trying to show up everywhere, because everywhere is not for you, just like everyone is not for you. It is positioning, presence, partnerships, proof, and having consistency across borders. And so here's the secret. Once your brand carries weight globally, your negotiations shift. You do not need to go look for any clients. They will come to you. Opportunities will chase you instead of the other way around. You will have a lot of people, you will turn down a whole lot of business because you do not have the bandwidth. That is how your global presence really matters in your business. Always remember that you have room for more improvement. Anytime that you're doing anything, you can always improve. With your global brand, go ahead and make sure that you are always self-checking. Make sure that you are also listening to what people are saying about you, because that is data and that is feedback. You need all that. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.